Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Daily Double. Today we're doing Parakid Aleph, Masech Shabbos, Mishnayos Beis and Gimel. Mishnah Beis states, Ketad, right, where Mishnah Aleph talked about throwing something from Rosh Yachid to another Rosh Yachid with a Rosh Rabbim in the middle, right? So to Machlokas, I want to say your potter. Rabbi Akiva says, no, Klutak Misha Huncha Damya, right? Even though it didn't rest, if it's in the air, it's like it rested, so you are chayav. We possibly Rabbanan, you're not chayav. So this Mishnah is explaining the Rabbanan. Ketzad, what would be an example? Shtei gizus tros. You have two small porches, zukneged zubrish zarabim, at opposite sides of the street, right? Hamoshid vazorak mizulazul. Let's say you threw something from one to the other, or you pass something, right? You have a long piece of bamboo or something like that. I want to build a skach on his little mirpeset over there. So you don't have to actually throw it. You're close enough to pass it. Potter, your potter. Moshe also is like Zorah, because I told you, Ayushten b'dyuta achat. However, there is one difference. If they're both on the same side of the street, right, and underneath these porches, there's Sharabim. So again, you're passing from Rosh Yachid to Rosh Yachid through Rosh Sharabim. Hamoshid chayev. This is the chesh. Moshid, according to the Rabbanan, is chayev. Azorik potter. You threw your potter, because Rika has to be under as Sarah Amos, and here you're very high. You're on a porch, on the second floor. However, Moshid, even though it's above 10 Amos, you're chayev. Because the whole concept of hotel is learned of the Levim. The Levim had these wagons where they passed things in the middle, the crushim. They used to pass from one agal to another agal. The agalas were lined up one after another. So in that case, exactly in that case, is very similar to two porches on the same side of the street, and the ground in between the agalos, these wagons, was a sharabim. The agalos themselves were shayachim, and the ground was a sharabim. So there they passed the crushim. They didn't throw them; they passed them. So therefore, just like the mishkan, you can be chayiv. So also in this case, you can be chayiv. Shtei agalos zu achazu acher zu b'sharabim moshitan akroshim mizuluzu. Right, the Gemara explains that's what they used to do. They had two agalos in Sharab, and they would pass the crushim, the beams, to Luzu. Aval lo zark, and they wouldn't throw them, because otherwise they would fall and they would break. Chuliyas habor ve'asela shenkvon asara verachvan arba hanotam hen menosin al gaban chayav pachos miken potter. If you have a big rock that's 10 tefachim tall and 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim wide and length and long, or you have chuliyas sabor, where you dig out a pit and you have dirt on the ground, right? That's also the same size as this rock. So it becomes, once you have 10 tefachim high and 4 tefachim wide and length, so then you have a Rosh Yachid. And now you're surrounded, this Rosh Yachid is surrounded with Sharabim. So if you pass or you throw, or you give, you carry from the Shayach to Sharabim, or from the Sharabim to the Shayachid, you're chayav. But if it's less than this size, it's not 10 tefachim tall, or it's not 4 by 4, then it becomes something called a carmelis, and therefore it's pater aval aser. It's rabbanan. Gimel hazorik arba amos bakosel. Now the Gemara in Misperach Hazorik learns that not only throwing for shirachim to shirabim you're chayav, but also havaras dalat amos. So you carry dalat amos shirabim, you start and you stop after dalat amos, and you carried something or you threw something, that's also a told, and you're going to be chayav. So here, zorik arba amos bakosel, you threw 4 amos to sharabim, and we're talking about something that's sticky, sticky fig that's going to stick to the wall. Lamalam asar tvachim, if you threw it above 10 tvachim, kizorik ba'afer, it's like you threw in the air. Lamatam asar tvachim, kizorik ba'aretz. If you threw below 10 tvachim, that's like zrika, and zrika under 10 tvachim is considered chayav. Azorik ka'aretz arba amos chayav. If you threw ba'aretz, all right, you rolled it on the ground and went 4 amos, you're chayav. Zarak l'tok arba amos is galgal chutz arba amos. You threw it on the ground, right? And then once it was on the ground, it started rolling, right? Outside arba amos, potter. That's potter. Chutz arba amos, you threw it outside arba amos, it has galgal l'tok amos, then went back, you put some spin on it, and it came back, or the wind blew it back, then you're going to be chayav. And the Mefarshim say, the Gemara says it only if it stopped. If it didn't stop, then we measure it only, right? You have to have hanacha, akira and hanacha. So if you don't have hanacha, it doesn't rest. So therefore, if it got blown back in, or someone pushed it back into the dalat amos, then you'd be potter in that case. Stay tuned for, I think, one of the most revolutionary iyum you're going to hear ever. We're going to talk about what. It's a hard concept to understand that zrika, which is a told over here, you're normally chayiv. You can only be chayiv for zrika above 10, pachos me 10 tefachim. Now 10 tefachim is very short. It's about 3 feet, about a meter, a little more than a meter maybe. That's about half the size, my size. I'm 5'10", So up to like over here in the middle of my stomach, middle of my torso, above that is considered to be putter. I mean, what are we talking about over here? When people take something, they throw it. They're already in their arms. They're going to throw it above 10 tefachim. They're going to putter. And it's called zorik? What's going on over here? We're going to talk about whether you can play basketball on Shabbos, or you should be playing basketball on Shabbos. Stay tuned. Ian and Sion coming up next.